And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. When the school...
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
There's only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
Look on the outside edge of the pews. Look on the outside edge of the pews where you are. You see the different markings alongside the edge of the pews? They represent the different tribes that made up our congregation back then and spoke over 6 different languages among themselves. These were small tribes enslaved by larger tribes and sold to Europeans as they came along the African coast. One of the major languages they spoke back then was that of Aramaic and also two of Hebrew, which means the writings read from bottom to top. Assalamu alaikum. Which means peace be unto you. It's not a Muslim term. It's actually the same greeting which Christ gave into the disciples when he met them in that region. Most countries in that region read from right to left. Here in America, we read from left to right. That's why the pastors in the St. Glass window up front here are going in numbers 2 through 7 from the right-hand side over to the left, to the left, to the left. This gentleman right here. Huh? What happened? No, this gentleman right here with the camera in his hand. Wave your hand. The pastor
James Wesley Carr.
Yeah, James Wesley Carr. No. What's your name?
Oh, Kelly Richardson.
Kelly Richardson.
Pastor Kelly Richardson.
He is a great grand-nephew?
Yeah.
Nephew of one of our first pastors. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's his uncle right here in the corner of the actual stained glass window here to your left.
You got the eyes.
You look just like him. Got the same eyes anyway. Come on, guys. Come on. That's funny. What's that up there looking like?
This is First African Baptist Church, the oldest black church in North America. The building, built by slaves. The gentleman that laid the first brick laid the last. The balcony hold pews that actually were built by slaves. They have the oldest information in this building. That information is written in cursive Hebrew writing.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean,
over the Caribbean,
South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I know this is like a last minute live that I'm doing here. I haven't done a live teaching in a little while because of preparing for the Breadcrumbs, preparing for the conference that I attended this past weekend. Just a lot going on. Have a conference coming up this weekend, and in preparation for a bigger conference that we're going to have in May. So family, be on the lookout for the conference that we're going to have in May. I'm shooting for the second Saturday, the second Shabbat, of May coming up. I'll confirm the dates and let you guys know. It's titled James 1 and 1. We woke now, and we're gonna pick up where we left off about 5, maybe 6 years ago when we did our first James 1 and 1 conference here in Richmond, Virginia. It was really good. It was off the chain. We had so many from the Hebrew Israelite community that attended, and I mean, we had a packed house, standing room the whole time, the entire couple of days. We had Hebrew Nation. We had my cousin Bishop, Dr. William Brown. We had Lutch, excuse me. We had so many people that was in attendance at this conference. I mean, we had a great time, and people are still talking about it today, about the impact. So we're going to pick up where we left off at, you know, with the pandemic and all those different things that took place. So we had to put our conferences on hold. So we're going to pick that back up. I'll drop the link about our website that will have registration and all those different things on there. It's a number of other things that we're getting back into the groove of doing, outreach and all. And many of you guys that are looking for a place to connect to, as far as a place of worship, we're going to definitely reach out to you guys. I have many of you guys contacts, so I'm going to reach out to you guys. I'm still going through my email. I'm way behind on my email, but getting caught up. So expect an email from me, expect a phone call from me for some of you guys that left your number. Also, appreciate everyone for your response earlier with the video I did dealing with depression. And, family, it's just a lot of things that are going on. And a lot of things that we were subjected to as a community. And I shared a little bit of my testimony, but I know some of you guys have even worse, have gone through far worse. No matter how bad we think our situation may have been, there's someone who have gone through worse. So I'm going to do a special teaching on unnatural affection, really deal with perversions, deal with different religions that promote perversions. So we'll deal with that at a later date, preferably this upcoming week. So we have a lot going on. And also what I wanted to highlight, what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight is just kind of talk about the documentary part 2 that we put together, put a lot of work into getting that production done. Breadcrumbs Road to Savannah 2. We know that, with everything going on, you guys have witnessed it firsthand, how many don't want us to talk about our own history. They want to tell us about who we are and what we are. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this whole series, Road to Savannah. And once I get situated here, actually tonight, what I plan on doing, I want to read something from our history. I want to read something from one of the founding fathers of which was whom was referred to, who was referred to as a prince in Israel, right? I want you to hear about our history that he wrote about, right? Not the history that many want to superimpose on us, with this whole nonsense about one group. Some people want to try to say that pews are paying homage, to Shahada, while others want to say that it's Quran passages on the pews, which I can emphatically, which I've already done with the main pew, prove that it's not going letter by letter, not this nonsense of trying to superimpose writings on the pews and mesh things together, and actually have professors that actually confirmed that. So on part 2, actually not part 2, but part 3, which is going to be labeled Israel's Time, I'm going to share some of the professors, some of their comments, not just one, not just two, but I'm going to show multiple professors that makes it clear on the very pews that are in question that it's not Arabic, no matter how many want to twist things around and try to make it whatever they want it to be. They're going to make it clear that it's not Arabic. Got some notable linguists that's going to bear witness of that. But that's another discussion here. But stay tuned for part 3, because I'm going to close it out with a bang. We're going to go deep into it, and I'm going to highlight a breadcrumb that I revealed in part 2. The part 2, there's a breadcrumb, and I think many of you guys probably didn't catch it. I'm not going to tell you what that breadcrumb is, but it's going to tie into. I'm going to reveal it in part 3. But if I encourage you guys, go back over part 2. There's a major nugget that you guys overlooked. A major nugget. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So again, it's imperative, family, for us to start telling our own history. See, Hasatan is afraid. Hasatan is afraid. What is the biggest thing he's afraid of? Is that Israel wake up. That Israel wake up. Let me say that again. That Israel wake up. When Israel wake up and truly start turning back to the Most High, as we see in the book of Judges, over and over again, we see the pattern, the history of Israel, right? Again, Israel sinned before the Most High, and then they went into a captivity. Israel had a history of going into captivity by sinning before the Most High. And what's interesting is, bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Let me do something real quick. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, family. I had to do something real quick. But when you read the book of Judges, you see a pattern. You see the pattern started when they were in captivity in Egypt, right? The pattern is Israel, right? They're in sin, they're in bondage. And what happened? Israel, with one voice, cried unto the Most High. And what did he do? He sent someone. While they were in Egypt, he sent Moses, Mashah, and his brother Aharon to lead Israel out of Egypt. But then when you go into the book of Judges, you see a pattern. You know, Israel sinning before the Most High. They go into a captivity. And then what happens? The, uh, Israel, because of the brutality of the captivity, they cry unto the Most High, and the Most High sends deliverers. Then Israel go back into, everything is good. And then what happens again? Israel sin before the Most High again, go into another captivity. The captivity start increasing. And what happened? Israel decided to learn that they learned their lesson, that they're going to cry into the Most High with one voice. And what happened? The Most High respond by sending deliverers. We see that several times in the book of Judges. So that gives us an idea of what happens when Israel come together in our captivity, like this bondage that we're dealing with right now. If we just understand the power, as Zephaniah chapter 3 makes it clear, that when Israel's going to, that the Most High is going to cleanse the language of Israel, so that way we can cry into the Most High, call upon him with one voice, one consent, akkad. So there's something special that's happening right now. Israel's starting to call onto the Most High with one voice. What does that mean? That means that the more Israel start waking up and understanding who we are, understanding the importance of getting back to the law, statutes, and commandments, honoring the words, the commandments of the Most High. When we start coming together and we become that one voice, crying into the Most High with one consent, what happened? The Most High, guess what? He's going to respond. And I believe he's going to respond soon. Why? Because there's such a cry. And because of this, we see the schemes. We see the different schemes, whether it's the ADL and some of these other groups that are doing everything that they can to suppress this truth. You guys seen what YouTube have done. YouTube on this platform launching the same video that was launched on my alternative channel. We Woke Now Extended. I even uploaded the bonus clips over there. I just didn't make it presentable to everyone to see, which I will do this weekend. But everything was good. But then when I brought it onto this platform, they deemed it inappropriate, offensive. But yet you can go to the Holocaust videos, and you can see all kinds of gruesome things, live footage up at that time, of course, of seeing dead bodies and all kinds of stuff in the videos. Some of them have age restriction on it, but you don't see any messages. You don't see any pop-ups. You don't have to go through all these different clicks to get to it. But I'm telling you right now, that's because they know the truth. They don't want us to tell our truth. And I'm going to read something. Let me pull it up here. I want to read something real quick from First African Baptist Church. I want to read something that's very profound that some of you guys may not be aware of, but I want to read it so that way. Initially, it was supposed to be, I was going to include it rather in the breadcrumbs, but because of the time, I just didn't want to have the documentary too long. I want to keep it at 2 hours. So a lot of footage that I had in it, a lot of recordings that I had planned for part 2, I didn't put it in there. So I had to reserve it for, I may do just a follow-up of some of the additional information that I didn't add in there. So yeah, let me read something here real quick. Let me pull up First African Baptist Church. And I want you guys to really listen to what Dr. Emmanuel K. Love. I want you guys to understand what he said about the importance of us telling our history. You know, because what's happening right now when you deal with the what's his name, the PBS Black Church with what's the guy name? Now I can't think of his name right now. I'm kind of going brain dead tonight. But Henry Louis Gates, you know, it's so imperative for us to write our own history and not depend on anyone else outside of that, you know, because you have so many that's trying to tell us who we are, trying to tell us our own history, where we have a history of the, for example, in our people's own words, of how the, you know, of how educated, the structure, the culture of First African Baptist Church. So I'm going to pull something up real quick, and I want to just read a little bit out of this, just so you guys can understand that even back during this time, our people understood the importance of telling our own story. They understood how the agendas of you know, those that are not part of our community, they understood that, and those agendas are still prevalent today. Right? Don't think that just because we are living in a new day, a new time, a new season, so to speak, that you know, this agenda is still not there. So let me read some here. Let me share this real quick, and we'll touch on a couple of other things, and then we'll call it a wrap. This is not going to be long. Right? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, D-Rick. You know, there's a lot of trolls, you know, especially trolls from within the church, trolls within Judaism and all those other places that are hating. You know, trolls, Muslims, you name it. We got them all. Muslims, far as yeah, Muslims, Islam. You know, we got trolls coming from the church. We got trolls coming from Catholicism, trolls coming from Judaism, the synagogue. We got all kinds of trolls. So I'm not even surprised. But you know, they've been really doing a lot. When I say they, YouTube been doing a lot to try to suppress this channel, suppress the numbers, the whole nine. So, but let me show you something here real quick. Let me show you something real quick. I'm not going to be long tonight because I got to get up early in the morning, but I just wanted to, and I'll drop the link inside the comment section. If any of you guys that have seen the Breadcrumbs, especially the one that's premiered here, and that includes the extended cuts that deals with the word picnic, giving proper clarity on what's the origin of that word, giving more footage of seeing a professor write out the letters, letter by letter, not this thing of trying to, anyway, I'll leave that alone. Letter by letter. Also dealing with Yisrael being spelled with Zion, right? From the solo trail perspective. So I'm going to show you a few things here, but I want to start off here. Let me share this screen real quick. Let me see something here. Let me show you. I want to show you guys. I want to let you guys read in the words of our own brothers and sisters on the importance. Right. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to give. I don't want to let the cat out the bag. I want to read some of it so that way you guys can see how it resonates to where we are right now. Let's see here. That's not it. Let me try another one. Let's try this one. Here we go. All right. Now I'm going to stretch this out. Let me first share this. And I'm going to stretch this out on my screen so that way you guys can see it. And let me know if you guys can see this clearly. Type 1. If you can see what's on my screen, type 1. And I'm going to read some of this so that way you guys can understand that our own people, that's why when I talk about the first African Baptist church, this is why so many people, a whole group of people want to rewrite history, want to tell us what this historical landmark was all about, whereas though they're absolutely incorrect. But I want you to hear the words, the history of this historical landmark with your own ears and for you to witness yourself. Now, you can actually download a copy of this, right? You can do a Google search. I believe it's on, you could go to, what's that, archive.gov, and you'll find this on archive.gov, right? And I want you to understand that they were very educated. This assembly had quite a few educators here. So they didn't need someone to write for them. And truth be told, when you go there and you see some of the books that they have there, you'll see some additional books there, Hebrew books, the whole nine. But anyway, let's go ahead and read what their history, what they say about their history, right? Let's see what Dr. E.K. Love, Emmanuel K. Love, let's see what he says about what we're dealing with today. All right. This is what it says. I have been asked to introduce this work to the public in Georgia and Alabama. Right. And when I deal with my family, right, the Carr family, a bulk of us are in the Georgia area, right? Far as, when you look at, like the Savannah, Georgia, the Albany, Georgia. Now, Albany is getting closer to the Alabama area, but the Carr family is all through Georgia, especially Savannah, Albany, Georgia, Atlanta. You'll see us in Alabama. You'll also see us South Carolina, but some in North Carolina, but their last name is Jacob. But anyway, notice what it says here. I have been asked to introduce this work to the public in Georgia and Alabama, where the author is known both as a speaker and writer. Nothing from his versatile pen needs introduction, and 100 years have passed. Most of these years were spent in hardship and sore tribulations to our poor, ignorant, downtrodden race. Our race has acted nobly and done many things that were highly commendable of the race, but no record was kept of them. Let me say that again, family. Let me highlight this here, right? Let me highlight this here. But no record was kept of them. And what he's referring to, especially when we start dealing with how things are said about us, when we start dealing with other groups and other communities, trying to write a history, they always mess up on purposely, either deceptively teach our history incorrect, mess it all up. But notice what it says, but no record was kept of them. And hence it went without saying that the race had done something worthy of praise. This is still true. We have many grand men, eloquent and learned men in our pulpit. See, contrary to what has been taught, contrary to what you see in these movies, there was a lot of educators among our community. There was a lot of educators among our community. Let me read this part again. I hope you guys grab hold of this here. It says, let me read this portion again. It says, our race has acted nobly and done many things that were highly commendable of the race, but no record was kept of them. And hence it went without saying that the race had done something worthy of praise. Right? Goes on to say, this is still true. We have many grand men, eloquent and learned men in our pulpits, that nothing is known of them except in their immediate communities. So this saying that, hey, the media, the historians, they didn't make a point of trying to write about our people, the positive things about our people, the education of our people. Only way we know about these things is through the local. That's, as you see here, it says as you see here, it says, we have many grand men, eloquent and learned men in our pulpits, that nothing is known of them except in their immediate community. Let me highlight this here for those that are watching for the first time. Nothing is known of them except, let me put this out here, except in their immediate communities. Look at what the historians have wrote about our community. Look at what we see on television when we see movies about slavery. You know, what do you notice? Notice what you see about even those that are leading the assembly, right? The preachers, right? They always make it seem as if we were uneducated. That still resonate right now. You know, many want to tell us what our history is, want to tell us what the history of Savannah is, but none of them read this here, or some of them actually read this, but still want to deceptively push all kinds of narratives as if this assembly and others assemblies were filled with uneducated people. Right now, I'm going to read some more of this. I'm going to read some additional, just a few more, probably a couple of paragraphs out of this, but listen to what he goes on to say. He says, this will always be so until we have well-conducted press of our own and bring out our own men, or do as Dr. Love has done, write their history. Look at this right here. This is like a mic drop right here. Now tell me if this sounds familiar. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It says, this will always, in other words, we will never be, how can I put it? Our history will never be told correctly when we're dealing with other people telling our narrative. I've stated this a number of times in one of the messages that I taught for almost 4 years, my 4-year message, that if we don't understand who we are, right? If we don't make it a point to know who we are, we create blank spaces and we will allow others to fill in those blank spaces with constructs that are foreign to us. So notice what it says this again. Let me read this again. We have many grand men, eloquent and learned, men in our pulpits, that nothing is known of them except in their immediate communities. This will always be so until we have a well-conducted press of our own and bring out our own men, right? Remember, we're talking about that right now. Starting our own platforms, saying forget YouTube, saying forget Facebook, saying forget Instagram, start our own. Why? Because of the censorship. See, censorship still occurred back then, just like what we see today, because certain things that they don't want, when I say they, these platforms that are owned by certain communities don't want this narrative, don't want this message to get out, don't want us to really truly wake up and understand that there was more to us, that our history is more than just being slaves. Right? They don't want that. They don't want this history to get out there. It says here, this will always be so until we have a well-conducted press of our own and bring out our own men and do as Dr. Love has done, write their history. Now, notice what it goes on to say here. Notice what it goes on to say here. I'll read a couple of more lines, but notice what it says here. Right? It says here, the white press was never intended to praise and elevate the Negro. Let me highlight this here, family. Y'all, are y'all understanding what this actually says? This is coming from our own history. This is not a Caucasian writing this history. This is our own history. This is our own history. This is Dr. E.K. Love writing the history of our history of First African Baptist Church, which was originally called the Ethiopian Church of Christ, when you do the history of it. Not going to even get into that because I'm going to highlight that in part 3. I'm going to really go in on part 3. I'm going to really go in on part 3 to expose a lot of additional information of these narratives that many want to superimpose on our history, because it's not just my history. It's not just my relatives that's part of this assembly. All of us here, sons and daughters of slaves that have landed in this coast, landed in this land. This is all of us. This is our ancestors. This is our heritage. It says here, the white press was never intended to praise and elevate the Negro. Let me say that again. I hope y'all see here, right? It says the white press was never intended to praise and elevate the Negro. They do not spend their money for that purpose. The white press, if it means no ill will to the Negro, it will it says it means, let me highlight this here. I want to make sure I get it here. It says, let me say it here, read it again. It says, the white press, if it means no ill will to the Negro, it means elevation to the white, and to support the long believed theory that the Negro is inferior to the white man. A press that believes this cannot elevate both races. You see this right here? You see this right here? Just this alone should tell you, if they were dealing with this back then, these behaviors are still perpetuated today. It says a press that believes this cannot elevate both races. Let me read it again. The white press was never intended to praise and elevate the Negro. They do not spend their money for that purpose. The white press, if it means no ill will to the Negro, it means elevation to the white, and to support the long believed theory that the Negro is inferior to the white man. A press that believes that this cannot elevate both races. Come on, family. 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 This is our history. This is our history. Now, around this time of this writing, this is 100 years after the church was constituted and established. This church, this assembly began in 1773. That's why you see here, our race during the 100 years that have passed was profited very little by the history of their noble men, for it was not written. If it had not been written, however meager, it would have inspired others to like and even nobler deeds, excuse me. So this is telling you that, our history, right? Our history, if we don't write about it, if we don't talk about our history, it will not be written. And when those that choose to mention history, it's going to always be through the eyes of the oppressors. So this is what I really want to highlight here. I'm not going to go into reading it all, but he gave some great words here in this introduction here. He gave some great words in this introduction. And he gave a lot of information. He gives the history, of this assembly, this church. Again, it did not start out at first as First African Baptist Church. When you do the research, you'll see the name of this church was Ethiopian, the Ethiopian church. So I know that many, right, don't want to admit that I said this years upon years ago, that I saw Ethiopian writings, right? Ancient Ethiopian is pronounced Gaaz. Today they call it Ge'ez or Ge'ez, right? Or Amharic is the modern, but I saw this on the pews. I saw not just this language on the pews, I see Hebrew on the pews. Now, at the time, I still had to decipher it and bring it all together, but I deciphered it. I deciphered many of the pews. And in part three, I'm going to translate another one of the pews, right? Without speculating, I'm going to give you letter by letter translation of the pews. So I discovered, right? I pointed out before I knew that there was a documentary that was that was created about this assembly called the Cryptic Cops or the Cop. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a documentary dealing with the Ethiopian uh, influence, the Ethiopian Israelites influence on this assembly, on this church. And you see the symbols all through it. You see Ethiopian symbols all through this assembly. So I highlighted that there was Ethiopian writings inside this assembly. I also highlighted that there's Hebrew writings on this, whether it's the block letters or whether it's cursive. You can see cursive on there. But I also pointed out Sola Trail, which is the cursive script that looks like an Arabic type of writing, right? You have Sola Trail and you have the Rashi. Rashi is the print portion of it, right? That, kind of more of a blockage, but you still see some similarity of the letters on these pews. But I'm going to explain this in part 3. And yes, because for your question here, does that church still exist? Absolutely. Do you know what's sad about this this historical landmark? Most of us don't know about it. Man, when you go down there, and I've been down there, I put a lot of work of going down to Savannah, Georgia, and doing my boots on the ground, so to speak, research. My cousin Bishop Brown, likewise, did a lot of boots on the ground going down there, doing my research on the writings. But when you go there and you see the tours, most of them are Caucasian, most of them are white people. You just see a handful of us. We really don't go down there. And this is what makes it easier for many to start trying to tamper and tell our story. See, my grandmother told me and my brothers about this church for quite some time, and we brushed it off. It didn't take until one of my cousins, which is he's a pastor as well, Pastor Jerry Carr the third. He went down there and he said, "Cuz, you got to get here. You got to get here." Took photos, everything. He said, "You got to get here. You have to get to this place." And so I did. So it's still an existent, family. This church, this historical landmark is still there. We have to start paying, just in a nutshell, traveling, paying our respects, go out there and see what messages they left behind. Come on, family. I'm going to show you another message on this. So not only did I make it clear that there was Ge'ez or Amharic on the pews, I also highlighted that there's Sola Trail on the pews, right? Transliterated, a key word that's on the main pew when you come upstairs. I also discovered that there's what is called incivity. And I'll break that down in part 3 again. I'll go into more details of it. Incivity, right? You see incivity symbols all over. Some of you guys have been exposed to incivity symbols, but just didn't know it. You see a lot of these inside of garments like dashikis, the borders and all that, the yellow, green, and black borders of a lot of that. Those are incivity. When you watch Coming to America, for example, I use that as an example. You'll see the incivity symbols all through that movie. This is a language of symbols, a secret language of symbols, of communication. And guess what? It's on those pews, right? And I cracked the code on how to approach it. Right? See, not getting too far into my background, but there's a reason why I get paid very well for what I do and what I've done in the past, as far as cracking code, understanding and learning and figuring out patterns. And I'm not trying to brag about this, but that was my specialty. So I had to understand, wow, how do I crack this code? First, understanding that there's a language of the oppressed. Let me say that again. There's a certain language that the oppressed speaks that if you don't understand oppression, you can't understand the language on the pews. And if you try to approach reading the pews from an academic perspective of, hey, this is how Hebrew is written, you're not going to be able to do it. Because again, I want to explain this in part 3. I don't want to give too much away. But there's a pattern. Language evolves when it goes to different territories. But why is it that we're not told about how Hebrew continued to evolve among some of the different communities, Israelite communities spread abroad within Africa? Oh, I got some stuff I'm going to drop. Matter of fact, let me go get a book real quick. I'm going to show a quick video here. Let me go get a book real quick. Let me hit the mute button real quick.
All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluak Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluak Afrikani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in Northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of Northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as a Middle East, you know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West, where the Middle North, and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that.
All right, so I'm back. Let me show you something real quick. Family. And I'm going to explain this in part 3, Israel's time. I'm going to explain this right here. This book right here. This book right here. Bambara. Well, you see right here, right? I'm giving you a little nugget here of what to expect coming for part 3. Let me bring it closer. Israel's time. What do you see there? What do you see there? I'm going to deal with this tribe here. This book right here. This book was hard for me to get hold of. Right? Bambara, right? There's a tribe, a group of Israelites, the Bambara. Y'all notice, even though this is written in the Israeli block letters, right? But I want y'all to pay attention to it. I want y'all to pay attention to it. I'm just letting you see the cover. I'm letting you see the cover. I want y'all to see the cover. Y'all know what continent this is. Oh yeah, y'all pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention because we got a lot to cover next in part 3. I got some bombshells I'm going to drop. Family. I got some bombshells that I'm going to drop, and I'm going to show you the breadcrumb. So I encourage you guys, and I may give out a special gift, right? For whoever can figure out that breadcrumb, the first one that can show me the breadcrumb inside that movie. Guess what? I'm going to give you I'm going to send you a special gift pack from We Woke Now. A special gift pack from We Woke Now. I'm going to include in there. Do I have some of my books in here? Let me see. I don't have it in here. I'll include, some good books there, some gifts in there, starting with Etymological Dictionary. I'm going to, and if I could get a copy of the 1980 Jewish Almanac, and I'll throw a special book in it that I talk about in terms of DNA. So if you can tell me, and I'm going to check my email, and the first person I see, you can tell me what nuggets you see, and if I see that nugget is, and I will reveal it in part 3. We Woke Now will send you a gift pack. We got some t-shirts that we're working on right now. I'm going to do it on the Patreon channel because I can't do it here because YouTube and all the things that they're doing. So I'm going to start, doing the t-shirts over there to the Patreon channel. But there's a major nugget that you guys probably I know you didn't catch. But if you want to comb back over the video, show it. Let me know. So I'll say this again. This book right here, I'm going to talk about this book. I'm going to talk about some key information in this book. I'm going to talk about some key information in this book, some key history about these people. I'm going to show a couple of maps of Solomon, his travels around the continent of Africa. I got some other things that I'm going to show you inside part 3. Right? So I just want to share with you guys tonight. I'm going to drop the link in the comment section if anyone of you guys want to jump in real quick. And if you want to share your thoughts about the part 2, the breadcrumbs, and I am also going to re-release part 1 because I know some of you guys probably didn't even see part 1. And if you have, I'm going to add some additional things to it. I want to bring it up to the format of part 2. So I'm going to re-release part 1, but I'm going to add some bonus material to that. I'm going to bring it up to the standards of part 2. But I'm dropping a link here. But I want to share one quick thing here because, some of the people that was call themselves hating, about when I stated that initially when I was going through my research on the pews, you had people trying to mock me when I said, hey, I can read Hebrew, but I can't read exactly what's on the pews. I can recognize letters. See, when people mock, guess what? That's part of research. That's part of your research. That's part of decoding and deciphering. When people, for example, I just use the Egyptians, for example, when you start understanding the hieroglyphs, when people first discovered that, many couldn't read what was on there. It took time to decipher, to understand the pattern, right? So I had to understand the pattern. I said I could recognize letters, but I couldn't read words because I had to understand the pattern. Because I could point to some of the pews that has a combination of, matter of fact, I'm not even going to give it away. I was going to give it away. I'm not giving away any nuggets, but let me show you something in this presentation here that I have up here. I put a quick, I have a quick slide here that I want to share. I'm not going to go through it all, but I want to share something briefly here from this PowerPoint, and I'm getting ready to take it down. Right. Let's go back here to Breadcrumbs. Right. Because there were some that wanted to mock, and I'm not ashamed when I said initially I couldn't understand what's on the pews. I can read. I could read some of the letters. I understood the letters. I could recognize letters, but I couldn't recognize full words. Now, we do know if you understand ancient Hebrew, and if you understand Ga'az, which is pronounced today Ge'ez or Ge'ez, some would, pronounce it with the modern Amharic, right? When you start understanding, one letter can have a meaning, but I didn't want to take that way out of it. I want to, my goal was, let me decipher what's on the pews. Let me at least decipher some of it. Let me get an understanding of what our ancestors were going through. So I had to understand that there's a language that comes with the territory of oppression, right? So when you start understanding, that's right, a cursive Hebrew on there as well. So when you understand, even from oppression, when you study behaviors of those that are within the penal institution, these prisons, these jails, right? They can speak English, but just because they sound like they speak in the words that we speak doesn't mean that there's not other meanings to it, right? They had other meanings to it. They may write certain words and symbols that only they would understand. From us on the outside looking in, it looked like, hey, this reads this way. It's not like that when you deal with oppressed people. So that's why my goal in part 2, I really wanted to deal with our oppression. I want to hit you with a sticker shock to let you get a feeling, a glimpse of what our ancestors had to deal with. So when you start understanding the writings, you understand the pain by the time we get to the end of the movie. And I didn't, do any verbalizing of what it said. I let you see with your own eyes. Right. So when you start understanding letters, each letter has a meaning. And those that don't believe that, if you understand ancient Hebrew, right, you understand the 119th book of Psalms gives every letter has a meaning. Every letter is going to teach you about the laws, statutes, and commandments, but every letter, instead of a primitive root word, there's a primitive root letter where words come out of that. All right. The first word you'll learn in the Hebrew Aleph Bayat, in the Israeli language is Aleph Bet. The first word you're going to learn is Abba, Father, starting with the first letter Alap. Right. The first two letters, when you understand the meaning of each letter, is going to tell you the meaning of what? Abba, Father. But anyway, right. Let me see who we have here. Look like someone jumped on, but I'm going to bring them on real quick. And then I'm going to show you something key for those that was trying to laugh and mock. And let me show you something about when you understand linguistics, right? When you start getting into that type of genre of study, to show that when you hear someone laughing, hey, you can't read this, you can't read that, you don't understand research, you don't understand the linguistic side of things. And I'm going to give you a key piece of information here. So let me go ahead and bring Lillian's universe in. Oh, it looks like they disconnected here. Device not connected. All right. All right, Lillian, if you're watching, it says that your device is not connected. Let me try you real quick. All right, Lillian, are you there?
Hi. Hi, Pastor Kelly.
How are you?
I am, oh my God, I am great. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, yes, I can hear you, ma'am. And thank you for jumping on. I really
Hello?
appreciate it. Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I
Can
want to.
you hear me?
I want to thank you. I want to thank you. You're doing an excellent, excellent job. No, it's not only that. It's like you have brought the truth forward to me. Okay,
Mm,
I have grown up in the church, and from a young girl, I always thought that something is missing in regards to us Black people and the Bible. I am now 52 years old. Just before the pandemic, I got really sick. And it's like the Almighty put me down to see all of this awakening and to realize that what I believed from a child fighting with my family was the truth, that we were Israel. And I want to thank you. I cannot thank you enough for all the information and the awakening you have brought to me and so many other people. And by the way, I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the
That's
love
it.
and support.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you. And thank you for just, just hearing those encouraging words to know that, the works that we're doing here is reaching you, reaching others that's in the places, that's in the territories like where you live. I really appreciate it, my sister. Really appreciate it. Are you still there? You still there, my sister?
Yes, I'm here. You're breaking
Okay.
up a little bit, but I'm still here. And
Okay.
I just can't get over it. It's you know what? I'm so grateful to you guys. And also to Benaya Israel. Oh my
Yes.
God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I also watch Reclaiming the Throne, and I'm
Yes.
gonna watch them again. And you know what? The next step, what's coming, I don't know, but we will make it through.
That's right.
And He carried us through all these hundreds of years.
Yes.
And you know, from a young girl, I've been through so much problems with family and people and racism, and I'm saying, God, what is this? What are you not telling me? Something is missing. I tell you, when the awakening started in me 3 years ago, I smile inside. But what sealed the deal is what happened with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. Even though I'm not even a Kanye West fan. I don't like him. But it's just the Almighty showing us through these
Yes.
different people what is going on. And there is fear now. There's a lot of fear. They are in fear. So they're going to try to bring more persecution and tribulation on us, but it's not going to happen. God is going to keep us through.
Yes. Yes.
That's it, Pastor Kelly. And I thank you so much and continue doing what you're doing. And I hope I meet you one day. I'm planning to come to the US in this year, but I don't know when. Maybe the summer, maybe for the conference in May, I'm hoping.
Well, let us know whenever you come into this country. We'll make whatever accommodations to get you to where we
Yes.
are.
Yeah. Okay. I will
Okay.
do that. And I
Okay.
have your email and address and everything. So I keep watching you on YouTube all the time, even though I'm behind the scenes. A lot of people are watching you, but you don't know, you don't realize. And I will try my best to get to you guys by May, hopefully, and meet all of you.
Oh, look forward to it. Look forward to it. And send me, shoot me emails, send me some emails just so we can communicate offline,
Okay.
and I keep you up to date with what
Okay.
we, with our
Okay.
event and all, and we'll get you out here. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'll let you go now. Have a great night. God bless. Thank you
Likewise.
again. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all
Love
the
you, my
work you guys
sister.
are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, family, I tell you, the Most High is doing some great things, family. And I thank my sister for coming on. Truly a blessing to hear her testimony and, to discuss, the impact of what we're doing here. It's truly a blessed family. And no matter what YouTube is trying to do, uh, guess what? The Most High is still having his way. Just like with the Egyptians, when the Egyptians was trying to suppress the Israelites, guess what? We continue to grow in the midst of the oppression. Even when we go to Nehemiah, not Nehemiah, Numbers chapter 22, we see that the king of Moab, heard about how mighty how large the Israelites were and the reputation, and he was in fear. He decided to get into witchcraft to try to how can I put it, to try to stop, to hinder, to stop, the things of what the Israelites progressing, sabotage what they were doing as they were progressing to the promised land. So we're gonna show a couple more. I'm gonna bring a few more people in, but I want to touch on one key thing as I bring Stay on Fire Ministry in. Can you hear me, Stay on Fire Ministry?
Yes, sir. Shalom, Pastor Kelly.
Hey, shalom to you. Real quick, let me just share something real quick. It'll be about 2 minutes,
No
if
problem.
that, before I let you chime in. Okay, I just want to share this with you guys before I forget. For those that may try to insinuate that, when I began to, as I was on this journey and I began to show you as I was walking through and progressing and making number of travels down to Savannah. I live in Virginia. Savannah, from where I live at, and I'm talking about driving down there, not catching flights down there. That's at least a 7.5 to 8 hour drive, anywhere from 7.5 to 8 hours in driving. So I would drive there overnight just to get there in the morning to do my research. And then I would turn right back around. Some cases I'll continue on to Florida, but I put a lot of work. I put a lot of boots in the ground. So let me just share something with you guys on one thing, a key piece of information I want to share with you about linguistics. All right. And I see here, let me bring this person in here. SL Snipes, give me 1 second. I'm going to share one slide with the people, and then Stay on Fire Ministry, and then I'll give you guys the floor for you to share whatever thoughts. Okay. All right. So let me share this real quick here. Let me just share something that we need to understand about when we start getting into linguistics. The study of languages, but cultures. But notice what this says here, right? This is coming from the Cambridge Dictionary of Linguistics, definition of linguistic anthropology. Now, notice what it says here. It says linguistic anthropology, the study of language from the particularly anthropological perspective that language is an integral part of culture, and therefore that a good anthropologist needs to understand and or speak the language of the culture under study. Let me say this again. It says again, that a good anthropologist need to understand and or. So understand the language and or. So we see and or says understand and, right? You can speak the language or understand the language, right? So need to understand and or speak the language. It's not saying that you had to speak the language. It says at least have an understanding of the language. So I have an understanding of Hebrew. I can read Hebrew, ancient and modern. Know a little bit about Amharic. I'm not saying that I'm a specialist in that. I'm not, right? I'm making it clear, but just did some research and did some self studies on it. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I am a specialist in it. But the key is, right? It says here that a good anthropologist needs to understand. So at least having an understanding of the language, right? It says, and to understand and or speak the language, right? So when you understand, right, the language, right, a good anthropologist need to understand and or speak the language. So at least, family, when you're studying, have an understanding of the language, have an understanding of Shemitic languages. That's why I teach ancient Hebrew, to try to give you at least an understanding of it. You'll be able to read it, but at least have an understanding of the ancient language. But it says here that a good anthropologist needs to understand and or speak the language of the culture under study. This particularly includes cultural problems and the use of the language, right? So I'm going to stop right here. I'll let our guest that jumped on, that called in, Stay on Fire Ministry, and I think we have someone else that's waiting in the back, but I'm going to let them speak. But I just want to share this here for those that call themselves trying to mock, oh, he can't read Hebrew. He said he could read Hebrew, but he can't read what's on the pews. Come on, family. That's not even, when we start getting into ethics, that's not even, true linguists, they laugh at that type of argument. Why? Because again, a good anthropologist needs to understand and or speak the language of the culture under study. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up here. Stay on Fire Ministry, I see you here, and SL Snipes, I see you as well. So I'll start with you, Stay on Fire Ministry.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point of what you said about when the video you said they had of you of you saying you didn't understand the language or whatever, but you went back and you had to understand I think you said oppression, if I'm not mistaken, at the time of what they was going through.
Yeah, see, just real quick, I couldn't. I recognized letters, but I couldn't understand how to bring it all together. I couldn't really break the code, because I could read Hebrew, ancient and modern, but I just couldn't. You know what I mean? I couldn't break the code, so I had to start over. And what I mean by start over, I had to really think about the language of oppress. I started going through the book of Judges, and when I was reading the book of Judges, like, wait a minute, it just hit me right there. Oppression. There's a language, there's a certain cry that comes with the oppressed. When the Most High said in Exodus that he heard the cries of who? His people. When parents, we all are parents, there's a certain cry, there's a distinguished cry that you can hear that that's your child. You can have a ton of other children in a noisy room, but the voice of your child, right? So in a nutshell, that's what I mean by that. So I had to really think about and put myself in the mindset of being, we're already oppressed community, but I had to really think about what our ancestors were going through. And so that's why when you see the first half of The Road to Savannah, for us, the Breadcrumbs, you see me really highlighting some traumatic experiences, just so that way it can put you in that mindset. Just give you a glimpse of what our ancestors had to deal with. So by the time the end of the movie came, it was easier for you to receive without me even having to articulate what it says.
Yep, and that's good. So that's exactly so that's the point. So basically, like for example, when people is locked up, like for example, when I was locked up, we will use I could say, hey, after the basketball game, I'm gonna take a shower, and I'm gonna need 2 waters ready for me, and I got 60 items for you. And out to the outside world, you might be like, why are you getting water items and all this stuff? But that water represents, like, at that time it would be hooch or something, like the jailhouse liquor. But you couldn't say it, and of course you can't just say that in jail because you can't do that. So I would use something like that. Just like, for example, if you write a kite or something, and when the COs used to find a kite, they had to take their time and try to decode it to see what we was talking about in the kite. So that's, like you said, like so people from the outside really want to understand that the words we use, it might sound like we was talking English, but the words was meaning something different, totally different than what you would be thinking of. you will see it and be like, oh, they talking about water, but we wasn't really talking about water. So that breakdown of how you said it made perfect sense to me. And then I just wanted to chime in on the road to the part 2 of the breadcrumbs was so powerful to me, because even just what you said, the breadcrumbs, like when I first got into the awakening, and me and my wife, and then both our names is actually Hebrew names. And I'm like, at the time when I discovered that, I'm quite sure my mother and dad didn't know. And it was just like the breadcrumbs that I noticed, like even my name is Rayshon. I forgot how you said it in the Hebrew, but it means Yah's grace and his protection over me. And it made me think about all the things I've been through. And it's just like even when I was watching the breadcrumbs and how you started off with the guy on the tree burning it, it's just thinking about all the things we've been through. And like the sister said, and we still here. So he left a whole lot of breadcrumbs. And even what you were saying too about when you read the scriptures, anytime the Israelites broke the commandments or was disobedient to the Most High, we went into slavery. Even that was breadcrumb. And I used to always wonder why, like me being from New York, why the Jews used to hate us so much. And now it all makes sense. They knew who we was this whole time, and just, man, like that breadcrumb, it was so powerful, Pastor. Like, yeah, y'all did an amazing job. Shout out to everyone that was with you who participated, and just even with Godfrey with the trees. And I didn't know all that stuff. And down in South Carolina about the trees, us being hung from the trees, and the blood from the trees, of how it still flows. Like, that's just powerful. It gave me chills. Like, so I really appreciate the work that you did, and that everybody else that participated. It was powerful. It was really, really powerful, and it just gave me a way better understanding of just all the things we've been through, and the Most High still kept us. So that was a blessing to me, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I appreciate Benea, my cousin Benea, Bishop Brown, my cousin Bishop Brown, and I also appreciate the interview Pastor Curry allowed us to do of him, because he dropped some jewels that we was like, wow, we was just excited to put it all together. But, just what he shared about, the agendas, to try to change history, to come in and try to, insert that Arabic stuff. And, when he exposed what the agenda of PBS. So it was nothing but the Most High that really helped bring that whole, how can I say it? Documentary together, just the revelations that were coming, and just how everything just lined up.
Wow.
So I appreciate it. I really appreciate the love and support.
I want to say I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna log off because, like you said, I'm gonna get ready for bed. I gotta get up early. I'm trying to get some stuff together. My birthday Friday, so my wife got a surprise for me. So just want to get everything together. But I just want to say, I really, 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 like I just really appreciate the work that y'all doing. And I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna watch it over, because I'm gonna email you so you can send me my prize.
All right.
But you be blessed, and thank you so much. And I just pray a blessing over you and your family, and just really appreciate the work that you really do, and even you staying up late nights with us to really do your presentations you be having for us. That sacrifice you make just to really educate us, so we could really learn who we are, and be able to, even when you break down the words, the etymology, it helps me and my wife a lot with a lot of things too, to be able to understand more of a deeper level of the words and the things that they use against us. And just the time you really take the passion you have for our people, just to be in this awakening, and not just like, all right, this and that. You really take the time to really teach us. So my family, and we really appreciate it. So, well, I just pray that the Most High just bless us and open up some doors so we could go up to symbolize with you and the saints up there in Virginia. So that will be a blessing. So hopefully that happens. But we really appreciate you.
Oh, that will happen. Hey, I appreciate it, my brother. Tell the missus I said hi, and we're gonna keep doing this walk together. Really appreciate you.
No problem. Be blessed. Shalom.
All right. Shalom. Still there, SL Snipes?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, man, shalom. And again, I just got to echo what the last brother said in his big ups in recognizing you and your work and your talent, your professionalism, your spirit of excellence that you operate in. Man, it's definitely been a blessing to my life personally. I think I also remember you mentioning previously that you have a background in IT, and I do as well. I was in the Air Force, and I was a network administrator. So certain little things that you drop, even I've even noticed the quality of your sound quality and your setup, and as it's gotten better as you've upgraded your equipment and all of that stuff. So as someone who's also an audio engineer and all of that stuff, I appreciate all of those things because it makes it a lot easier, especially when, I talk to, people who are close to me and that are around me about stuff. I don't try to push anything on anybody or be forceful in that way. I don't believe that the spirit of God, is trying to force himself on anybody. I believe that, he said knocking the door will be open, which means you got to be inviting. So if somebody asks me, I'm willing to tell them, but then I like to also give them, some where to go next type of situations. And that's where I found the most value in like your channel and your cousin and Bishop Brown and Pastor Tebow and Pastor Darby and all of those guys, you know what I'm saying? So I really do appreciate what y'all got going on because it allows again, I was in the military, so I understand that structure as well. And I know you do. So as somebody, who is acting in a support function to what you got going on, you as the CEO, I'm your unknown NCOIC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm pushing the line on my side to make sure that we amplify the message and, you know what I'm saying, stay on track with what you got going on. And again, I really appreciate your work. I don't know how I missed the breadcrumbs thing. I've been busy, moving around. I'm driving right now on the interstate, so I'm probably gonna put it on as soon as we hang up because I got a couple more hours to go before I get home. But again, I appreciate what you got going on, man. I know I don't know you personally. This is my first time ever talking to you. I didn't even expect for you to be on tonight. I was just going to the We Woke Now page just to see what was up, and lo and behold, we got this live going on, and I actually get to talk to you. So that's a blessing within itself. And even outside of that, we also share something in common in the fact that a part of my awakening was actually discovering my personal family's history through documentation and through breadcrumbs. There's a church in Denmark, Tennessee. I'm from Memphis originally. Denmark is about 70 miles to the east of Memphis, but that's where my family was enslaved in the United States. There's a church called the Denmark Presbyterian Church that was built in 1854 that is on the National Record of Historic Places that my family actually built with their hands. It took them 6 years to create all the materials, but they built the church in 169 years later. And the crazy part about it, I actually got in contact with the Presbyterian Church, told them about it, not even expecting them to do anything about it, but just let them know, I've traced my family's history and the counterparts to the family that own my family, and the last 10 generations have been drastically different on several levels. I told them that, and they about a year later they came back and said, "Man, you're right." So we're putting together this Center for repair for historical harms for Afro-Americans and indigenous people. And it's been in existence since like November. And I just got through talking to the guy maybe an hour ago, and they're actually surrendering like 16% of their annual income to go into this fund to give back to those qualified groups of individuals. So maybe there's some you know, y'all can look into. Y'all got a little bit more research power and, you know, all that stuff than I do, but I do know that it exists. It's real. It's documented. They've published reports and budgets. They've got numbers allocated for 23 and 24 already. You know what I mean? So I don't know. To me, I see that as a part of the beginning of recompense. You know, and that's just my faith being activated in the fact that I know it said before we came out of here, we would come out with great wealth. Maybe that's a part of it. I don't know if it is or it's not, but I think it would be just like the Most High to use the quote unquote church to be one of the institutions to officially acknowledge us as the people and do something about it because they actually believe the book.
Wow.
So, you know, that's just kind of my thought.
Yeah, that I was just looking that up because when I was a contract, I used to do a lot of government work, and you know what I mean when I say that.
Right.
And I had to travel to Army installation now outside of Memphis. So I used to have to literally go to Memphis almost weekly for about, I want to say about a 5 or 6 month period, dealing with the data center out there. And I remember seeing like the cotton fields, and man, it was just it looked like it was frozen in time. You know, still
Man,
seeing some of the you know the places that they would store the cotton and all. I mean, it was so eerie. I remember when I first drove past, it was like me and some coworkers, and it just and I'm sure you know what I mean. It just hit me, man. I mean, it hit my spirit. It was like, wow, you know, I can actually visualize our people being on those in those cotton fields.
yeah,
I
man.
mean, you
I
can
tell
see
you
like some
something.
of the cotton floating around in the air, you know, from the wind and
Yeah,
everything, man.
I was gonna say, man, even from my mother's generation, you know, she'll tell you, and people that were alive during the time, there literally has been, according to my parents' generation, a physical heaviness, spirit of death in Memphis since Dr. King was killed there.
Mm.
And that was like the catalyst for the economic decline, the social decline. I mean, you had rioting and looting for, you know, months after that, specifically in Memphis, and all of the businesses left, which made all the economic opportunities that were previously available no longer available when you still have the same needs. So if there's not a legal economy for you to participate in, you're gonna participate in the illegal economy in order to feed those people who still depend on your income. And
Yeah.
that started in 1968 and has continued until recently, when you get people, you know, my generation, you know, millennials and some Gen Xers who just are from Memphis or from North Mississippi or, you know, their general area, that just decide, okay, this is ours. It ain't the best, but it's what we got, so we gonna make it better. You know, type of situation. And of course, the awakening has definitely put fuel to that spark that was already there. You know what I mean? And even, you know, before Dr. King got killed, he was talking about going back to Washington to get a check, which my conversation for anybody, you know, political parties, so-called leaders, anybody who's in authority, we should be talking about, you know, at least have it on the agenda to talk about making us whole in terms of economics. You know,
Well, you hit me now because I had uploaded that video. It was a short clip, and I had it uploaded and on this channel about 5 months ago, and YouTube took it down.
Yeah,
They took it down. Gave me a strike and took it down.
that's crazy.
When he was, because Martin Luther King was he was really, like, to your point, touching on how, for example, the government gave whites, you know, monies to go to the West, you know, gave them monies to cultivate the land, gave them monies to start schools and all those different things to make sure that they were able to get ahead, you know. And he, like, to your point, how we were not given anything, and he said, "Hey, give give us our checks." He said, "I'm coming to," you know what I mean, to collect our checks. So you hit it right on the nail, and that's one of the things that many people don't understand about some of the things that Martin Luther King talked about. We just think about, his famous speech that he gave um, when he was at the Capitol, but we don't, like, to your point, we really don't know some of the things that he really fought for, especially with what you just brought up, the economic side of things when it comes to our community, the economic suppression of our
Right,
community.
right. And again, I believe there's a way that we can apply a technical solution that would enable us to at least uh, focus what our behavior already is anyway. We're a consumer base, right? But what if we had focused consumer spending based on what our agenda was that we set, not what they said, but what we said. I believe there's a way that we can apply technology to that infrastructure and solution and make that happen. I'd love to talk to you offline about that, you know, but I've been working on it for a couple of years. Type of situation, I feel like there's something that I've been led to do. So I'd love to talk to you about it, maybe, offline. But I think that's something that we can do without waiting on anybody else. Because again, I'm of the mindset, why would I ask any other community to do something for me that I haven't attempted to do for myself? Right? And I don't believe that I know there's been efforts, but I don't think that the time was right because one, I believe that, our 400 years was served, time done, 2019, right? And then immediately you saw a biblical plague on the world, right? And we're just really climbing up out of that. So now maybe this is the year of recompense. Maybe this is the time to, and again, this is just my thoughts. I'm not saying that, the Most High is telling me none of this. I'm just saying this is kind of what's on my heart. And since we talking, we talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's just all I had. I really didn't know what I wanted to say. I just knew I wanted to say thank you for your work. I knew I wanted to say I appreciate it. And man, keep doing what you're doing. I'm definitely gonna be finding ways to support you, especially if you got, some merch for sale or something like that. Count me in for a couple t-shirts a month.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, my brother. And anytime I'll be doing another live coming up this Saturday night. I'm going to try to do a live with our Shabbat. I haven't done a live in a few weeks from our Shabbat because trying to get our equipment squared away. So I installed some new equipment. So you know how it goes, trying to
Right.
make sure everything is in sync and training those that that's going to be operating the cameras and all. So you know how it goes. You've been in the Air Force. You know how very punctual and
Right.
meticulous, especially doing those presentations are. Because I used to have to do presentations and all that stuff. So you know how detail oriented you have to be in terms of simple but very professional, and the presentation is everything. So
Yes, sir.
so I just hooked up, connected a video mixing board, so that way I can really present the video in a way of a high level of excellence. So hopefully I can have it. I'm going to test it out today, later on today, and if all is well, then we'll be good this weekend, and we'll have some of our start getting back to showing our Shabbat services, and that'll be on our extended channel. We Woke Now Extended, just so that way, I don't have to worry about YouTube trying to flag it like they do over here.
Right. Yes, sir. Well, I'm tuned in. I'm tapped in. I'm supporting. I'm praying for you. I speak the Most High's best for you. Let His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. In Yahshua's name, I pray. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, my brother. Love you. And let's continue to stay in touch, and if there's anything I can assist, feel free to reach out to me. That Air Force connection says a lot. We got other things in common. Like I'm gonna
Yes,
do
sir.
some research on that church. I literally got my brows up already. So my
No, I
wife
can
may
send
be.
it to you. I have all of the research. I'm talking all of it. I've been working on that for some years because again, I wanted to give. My son was about to turn 7. He's 13 now. I wanted to give him something for his birthday that wasn't just a toy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Something he could actually keep that nobody could take from him. And I said, the best thing I could give him is his complete history. And that's what led me to want to know, all right, who are we for real outside of what they told me? Who am I? And I didn't care what I found. I just wanted to know the truth. And,
Yeah.
again, searching back through birth certificate records, found it all the way back to 1820, found out that he was born in North Carolina, but his father was actually imported from Nigeria. Ethnically Igbo, like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was actually in 1816. He was on the way on a ship headed to Cuba, and the ship got captured in the Florida Keys and sold in New Orleans at a spot that's still open today. It's the oldest building in Louisiana called Lafayette's blacksmith shop. It's a piano bar. But that's where Jean Lafitte, he was a famous pirate. Him and his brother used their blacksmith shop to sell what they was robbing off of the ships coming through the Florida Keys in the Gulf of Mexico. He fought in the War of 1812 with Andrew Jackson against the British, and that's what stopped the British from sailing up the Mississippi. Andrew Jackson gave him and his men a pardon for all the crimes they did. And the very next year is when he stole the ship that my ancestor came on from Africa. That's
Wow.
my actual family history.
Wow. Yeah, forward me that information, my
Yeah.
brother. Forward me that information because I definitely want to peep it out because I already got my browser up. I started right where you pointed it out. I started already researching it. So whatever you could send me that'll save me some of the time. Feel free to send it to me because I would love to research it and read what you send me. That's some great information. And hey, I'd based off of what you send me, I like to possibly do a documentary off of it. Kind of like what I did with the presentation that I did with the breadcrumbs. So I'll definitely like to research what you send me for me, all what you have, and we'll collab offline. To get more details off of it. But I'd like to do something on that.
Yes, sir. I would love to. Thank you. Was not expecting that. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father. Because I promise I wasn't expecting that. I just called to tell you thank you, but I'll definitely send you everything. I look forward to assisting in whatever way I can. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem. No problem. Well, my brother, drive safe on those roads. Don't forget to send me that information. My email address is on the screen. Don't forget to send me that information. And feel free next time I'm live, let me know what you think about the breadcrumbs. Uh, and I thank you again for taking the time out to reach out.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night and shalom.
All right. Shalom to you as well. Love you, my brother. Be blessed.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. All right, family. I thought we had someone else in the back, but they dropped off fairly quick. So what we'll do is we'll curb this discussion when it went a little longer than what I anticipated. But I really appreciate everyone uh, uh, reaching out. Those that jumped online and those of you guys that jumped in the chat. I thank the moderators for watching the chat, keeping everyone honest. And like I said, for those that did not catch this presentation early, go back over the breadcrumbs. There is a breadcrumb, and if you can identify that breadcrumb, I got a special gift for the first person that can identify that breadcrumb. Shoot me an email. Tell me what that breadcrumb, what you think that breadcrumb is, and I will let you know. But there's a major breadcrumb, and I'm going to reveal that breadcrumb in part 3. Whoever reveals that breadcrumb, there's a special gift, a gift bag that we're going to forward to you. So with that being said, family, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love and support. Just continue to be encouraged. I know we're living in a very heavy time, what someone may consider a depressed time. But the Most High got us covered, family. The key is we got to come together to cry with one voice. So that means that regardless of our differences, one voice, we have to be one voice crying to the Most High. He'll sort out whatever differences that we have. He'll sort out whatever things we can't agree on. He'll give us proper clarity on those things. But the key, we have to come together. We have to come together and cry to the Father with one voice, and he will send the deliverer. He will send the Messiah. He will send help. He will send restoration. He will make us whole, as we already see the patterns that's laid out before us in Exodus and also in the book of Judges. So with that being said, family, really appreciate you guys. In the words of Moses, as he had to encourage the children of Israel as they came out of Egypt and was making their transition to the promised land. And they got a little nervous because they came to what appeared to be a dead end. Water before them, the Egyptians trying to catch up with them to kill many of them and bring them right back into bondage. So the Egyptians represent their past, represent strongholds. So Moses had to say this, share these words to them under the Spirit of the Most High, under his instructions. He said to them, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them again. They will not have power over you again. They will not have power, right? Will not have power. They may still exist somewhere, but they will not have power over you ever again. And here's the kicker. Here's the promise that the Most High made. The Most High will fight for you, but you have to hold your peace. Let me say that again. The Most High will fight for you, but you have to hold your peace. The word peace in that text is not shalom. Some would say shalom. That means it is well. That's a salutation. Not that. It's not dealing with that. You'll see karash, and karash means to be quiet. Sometimes we have to learn how to be silent. I did a lesson titled Calculated Silence. Sometimes we have to learn how to be silent and allow the Most High to fight for us. Guess what? Can't go back, Israel. We cannot stay here, Israel. We have to keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.